It is harrowing enough that the Bush administration got us into Iraq without an exit strategy. But 4 years later, is there really no military plan to get out? Not even one the president has in the bottom drawer of his desk just in case. Our fourth story in the countdown, the charge tonight from Senator Russ Feingold of Wisconsin, who is seeking a way for Congress to not only stop the current proposed troop escalation, but to stop this war altogether.
Congress must use its main power, the power of the purse, to put an end to our involvement in this disastrous war. And I'm not talking here only about the surge or escalation. It is time to use the power of the purse to bring our troops out of Iraq.
Senator Feingold joins us tonight from Washington. Senator, thanks for your time again.
Good to be on the show, Keith.
Your fellow Democrats and obviously a growing number of Republicans are against any kind of troop increase, but do you think there is a similar kind of bipartisan agreement growing on actually withdrawing from Iraq now?
Well, you know, the politicians are usually behind the people, and this is a terrible example of that, of where, yes, there's a lot of people realizing we shouldn't increase the troops, and that's an awful idea, but there's a lack of planning for what's really going to happen, which is we need to redeploy these troops, and we need to redeploy them soon. I was just in the Intelligence Committee at an open hearing, and I tried to ask some generals and intelligence people, you know, what are some of the things we should be thinking about as we bring these troops out? And they said, well, Senator, that's just a hypothetical. And my response was, well, you didn't have a plan to take us into this Iraq war. You darn well better have a plan for bringing us out. And they're not planning. And it really does concern me.
How would stopping the money spigot work? How do you do it?
Well, that's what I was trying to ask their advice on. You know, it's been done before. When President Nixon wanted to go into Cambodia, the funding was not allowed. When it was clear that the situation in Somalia in the early 90s wasn't working, we passed, and I was in the Senate, a resolution that said by X date, the funding will be cut off. We're going to leave you plenty of time to make sure the troops can come out safely. But this kind of thing has been done before. Obviously, when you go into a war, you've got to come out of a war. And there are safe ways to do it and not safe ways to do it. We ought to be planning with legislation and working with the military and everybody else a safe exit from Iraq, because it's long overdue.
According to President Bush, those like yourself who have issues with his plan, as he stated it last night, let me quote it, have a responsibility to explain how the path they propose would be more likely to succeed. How do you answer that?
Well, very simply, the president has been wrong on every aspect of this war. He was wrong about the premise that we went into the war on. He was wrong about the idea that there wasn't a civil war. He was wrong about the idea that this didn't help rather than hurt al-Qaeda. So I don't see it as my responsibility to make up for the fact that he took us into this war under false pretenses and is keeping us there under false pretenses. The fact is the situation now is completely unacceptable. It's devastating to our American national security and our military. The burden is on them to justify continuing this awful mistake. The burden is not on us, who never thought we should go there in the first place.
And continuing a mistake, that raises the question that the president brought up last night in the threats to Iran and Syria, as he vowed to, let me quote it again, seek out and destroy the networks providing advanced weaponry and training to our enemies in Iraq. You told Secretary of State Rice today that you feel our involvement in Iraq has been catastrophic with regards to our national security, as you just said it here. What do you think about the president's suggestion now to expand this in some way to face Iran and Syria?
Well, the problem with all these folks, especially the president, is they simply can't see this as an international challenge. They see this whole thing through the eyes of Iraq. I call it the Iraq-centric policy. They have to define it through Iraq because they made the awful mistake of going there instead of beefing up our operation in Afghanistan. So if he's talking about doing something like that with Iran, he's forgetting about the fact that in Afghanistan right now, a battalion is apparently going to be removed from eastern Afghanistan, where the Taliban is planning a major offensive, and the Marine Commandant himself said this is a bad idea. Where is it going? It's going to Iraq. So they've got the priorities all wrong. We need to look at those that attacked us in 9/11, and as I remember, they were hanging out in Afghanistan. If we don't get serious, they're going to be able to hang out in Afghanistan again pretty soon.
Is it fair to say that the best present that President Ahmadinejad of Iran could get would be a threat from the United States? Would that not bolster his somewhat shaky hold on that country?
I'm not sure. I mean, the fact is, yes, all options have to be on the table with regard to Iran, and we can't take that lightly. But we need to come up with a policy that says that all of our allies and all the other countries in the world do everything they can to try to persuade Iran not to go to nuclear weapons. The answer is not to try to take it up to the level where either he or the others in the Islamic world can take advantage of this to encourage further negative action toward the United States.
Senator Russ Feingold of Wisconsin, as always, sir, great thanks for your time. Great thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much.